And we return to the subject, which is now the headlines around the world, the war which is taking place in the Holy Land. And this has not started now. This has been going on ever since the Western world waged crusades to recover the Holy Land. Holy wars, 1, 2, 3, 4 of them, to recover the Holy Land. It started then. It went on until the First World War took place, and a British army was able to defeat the Ottoman army and capture Jerusalem. And then the British general Allenby said, "Oh, today the Crusades are over. Secular Britain, today the Crusades are over. A holy war, Britain." And then you have the period between 1917 and 1948, when the Jews were brought back to the Holy Land to reclaim it as their own, 2,000 years after the Lord God had expelled them and then banned their return. And then in 1948, you had the creation of the State of Israel in the Holy Land. And the plea from the West was, all that we want to do is to give a home to a people who don't have a home. All that we want to do is to give a home to a people who don't have a home. No, you're lying. It's not just that. It's more than that. It is to make a state of Israel the ruling state in the world. We'll come to that subject soon. Now, is it possible that all these things can be happening in the Holy Land? That the Holy Land is now on the verge of a big war. The Russian ambassador to the United States, to the United Nations, has declared that the world is on the brink of a big war in the Middle East. Since the Quran declares, as it does in Surah Nahl, بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وَنَزَّلْنَا عَلَيْكَ الْكِتَابَ تِبْيَانًا لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ, that we have sent down this book on you, O Muhammad, Allah's blessing be upon him, that this book might explain all things. Is it possible that the Quran is silent on the subject of what has been happening in the Holy Land? Is that possible? There are those who eat their biryani or their couscous and they go home and sleep. But the rest of us say no, not at all. The Quran must explain what is happening in the Holy Land. And we have been teaching this subject now for 25 years or more. I have a book entitled Jerusalem in the Quran. I'm sorry I don't have a copy with me, but we put it on the screen for you. And that book was published more than 20 years ago. And in that book, Jerusalem in the Quran, we have turned to the Quran to explain what is happening in the Holy Land. And then I have another book entitled, here we have a copy here, The Religion of Abraham and the State of Israel, a view from the Quran. And we have another book entitled Explaining Israel's Mysterious Imperial Agenda, and other books on the subject in my collection of books. And we have been teaching this. There is an Islamic view of Gog and Magog in the modern world. And so now, briefly, because we don't want to spend more time on this subject than we need to, what does the Quran offer to explain what is happening in the Holy Land? Answer, it is the subject of Gog and Magog that you have to turn to. When the Quran explains the subject of Gog and Magog, you'll understand what's happening in the Holy Land. Who are Gog and Magog? They are people, human beings, and they commit fasad, meaning they are evil in their conduct. There's conduct which is corrupting the world and destroying things. Fasad. And Allah Most High has reserved a terrible punishment for the sin of fasad. And the Quran tells us in Surah al-Anbiyaa, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وحرام على قرية أهلكناها أنه لا يرجعون. Allah has identified a town, Qarya. He has destroyed the town. He has expelled the people of the town. And he's placed a ban on them that they could never return to reclaim this town as their own. Hatta, until when? إِذَا فُتِحَتْ يَأْجُوجُ وَمَأْجُوجُ, until Gog and Magog are released into the world. وَهُمْ مِنْ كُلِّ حَدَبٍ يَنْسِلُونَ, and when they are released into the world, they will spread out in all directions. We turn now to a hadith of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, in which he quotes the direct speech of Allah Most High. And this is in Sahih Muslim. And the Prophet, Allah speaks about Gog and Magog, and he says, I have created creatures of mine so powerful that none but I can destroy them. And these are Gog and Magog. And so Gog and Magog are human beings who have been endowed with extraordinary power, indestructible power. Only the Lord God can destroy their power. But they use power to oppress. They use power to corrupt. And when they are released into the world with their indestructible power, and they spread out all over the world, and listen to me, listen carefully. When they spread out all over the world with their indestructible power, they will take control of power in the world. And this is an event which will occur only once in history. When they take control of power in the world, وَهُمْ مِنْ كُلِّ حَدَبٍ يَنْسِلُونَ, then Gog and Magog will bring these people back to that town from which they had been expelled, to reclaim it as their own. And the question is, which town is it? Which town is connected with Gog and Magog? And I have been teaching this subject for 25 years now. And you are listening, but they will not listen. They got wax in their ears. The prophet said about Gog and Magog that they will be destroyed in Jerusalem. The Lord God, Allah Most High, will destroy them in Jerusalem, BaitulMaqdis. This is the only town linked to Gog and Magog, Jerusalem. And so we conclude with not much effort that when Allah says that وَحَرَامٌ عَلَى قَرْيَةٍ, when he spoke about a town which he destroyed and expelled the people of the town and placed a ban on them, they could never return to that town to reclaim it of their own. This is Surah al-Anbiyaa, I think verses 94 and 95. That town is Jerusalem. You don't need more than 5 rupees worth of knowledge and intelligence to recognize that the town is Jerusalem. And since the town is Jerusalem, you can identify now from the Quran Who are those who brought the Jews back to Jerusalem, to the Holy Land, to reclaim it as their own? Who did it? Answer, it was those who control power in modern Western civilization. It is the Judeo-Christian alliance which controls power in modern Western civilization. It is NATO, which was created later on, which is the military arm of that Judeo-Christian alliance, which controls power in the modern West. They are the ones who brought the Jews back to the Holy Land to reclaim it as their own. And they are Gog and Magog. But I can't get the scholars of Islam to accept this simple explanation of what is in the Quran. And so here is an explanation that is absolutely essential for anyone who wants to analyze what's happening in the Holy Land. Gog and Magog are not Jews. Gog and Magog are taking the Jews for a ride. They brought them back to the Holy Land on the backs of oppression and deception. Yes, and betrayal of the Arabs. And Gog and Magog are now arming Israel and making Israel into a powerful state. But the real Jews, who are a Semitic people, who have descended from the seed of Abraham, alayhi salam, they are a small minority now in Israel. And these are the ones who are being taken to the slaughterhouse by the European Jews, who are Gog and Magog, who do not have any genetic link whatsoever with the Israelite people. They are not Semitic people. And this brief video of mine now explains to you the subject of Gog and Magog and the deception that is taking place, and that the Jews are being taken for a ride by Gog and Magog. The European Jews are taking the Oriental Jews for a ride, and they don't even recognize it. But we don't make a distinction between the two. Whoever is an oppressor must be resisted. This is all I have to say today on the subject of what the Quran offers to explain what is happening in the Holy Land. Thank you. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.